This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. A gang stuffs women in suitcases and kidnaps them. A senior police officer hits, runs, and hides. And 12 men flee a casino but are captured and savagely beaten. But firstly, it's our headline story, and this headline beggars belief. When I saw it, I literally did a double take. I could not believe what I was reading. Here it is. 2 foreigners arrested after they kidnapped multiple women in suitcases for extortion. And it is as bad as it sounds. 2 Chinese men have been detained as they were part of a kidnapping gang that was snatching innocent women and then transporting them by stuffing them in suitcases. It is beyond comprehension how frightening that must be to a lady. I mean, just think about that. You're a woman in a hotel minding your own business when violent men assault you and they threaten your very life. Then, when you are subdued, they stuff you in a suitcase to take you out of that hotel. Have a look at this photo. This is one of the kidnappers, and in that very case is a woman curled up and frightened to death, terrified if she will die at the hands of these violent men. If this plot was placed in the script of a film, it simply would be considered unbelievable. The latest update is Phnom Penh police have now announced that they have arrested 2 Chinese nationals for a series of kidnappings. The suspects allegedly targeted Chinese and Vietnamese women, and so far 6 separate kidnappings are known about. The suspects were arrested in Dangkor district, and during the raid, the police discovered a 40-year-old woman who had also been kidnapped and abused and was being held captive. The 2 men were taken in, and when questioned, the suspects confessed to being part of a larger gang responsible for many kidnapping cases. They have now been transferred to the municipal court for legal proceedings to begin. In this week's shocking crime desk, we have innocent men forced into slavery and beaten. A senior cop drives into a family of 5 and then flees. And a senior military officer faces life in prison for drug trafficking. Our first story on our crime desk this week is so absurd, it annoys me very much. So let's go straight to the headline. Police arrest 12 after video clip shared of uniformed men beating foreigners. Now, it is only when you see the photos that accompany this story you really start to get an idea as to how outrageous this is. It is like a scene from a film about the Khmer Rouge. Now, I am unable to show you the video, but what I can do is show you a few stills, and they will give you a taste of the horror that was going on in a rice field in Sfareng this week. This still here from the video footage clearly shows uniformed men beating people laying on the ground that are tied up and they are helpless. They lay in the dirt, bound and gagged, as these evil men beat them over and over again with long sticks and canes. And the reason these spineless evil men are punishing these poor souls is because the victims had escaped from enslavement. They had all been forced to work in yet another casino run by criminals. These people on the floor were in a living hell, being held against their will. And with the use of violence were forced into a life of slavery. But somehow they had managed to escape. But unfortunately, their freedom was only fleeting, as they were soon caught and their captors exacted a very cruel retribution upon them. Is it not incredible to think that this is the 21st century and this kind of thing still goes on? Worst of all, so brazenly as it's being done out in the open air for all to see. And the only reason it came to light was a citizen spotted this incident. He videoed it and then he uploaded it to social media. Then action was taken and 4 Vietnamese men were released from their enslavement. Police state that 5 Chinese men and 7 Cambodians have been arrested, awaiting further questioning. You know, when you're driving along and people throw unwanted items out of cars like empty drinks cans or sweet wrappers, you look upon them and thinking, that's really bad behaviour, and it may well even raise your blood pressure a notch or 2. Well, try this one on for size and see how it fits. I guarantee that if flying empty cans gets your goat, then this one is going to send you mental. The headline read, "Driver threw police jacket from car after seriously injuring family of 5 in hit and run." Yep, you heard that right. A police officer left an entire family seriously injured in the road, and he drove away from the scene of an accident. He even threw his jacket away that clearly would have identified him as an officer of the law. And he was not a junior officer who had just been on the force a few months. No, not at all. This guy was a career officer who had attained the rank of Brigadier General. You know, that kind of rank that should be setting an example to his junior officers, not so much ploughing down innocent people and leaving them in the dirt. The incident itself happened at midnight in Kandal province. Witnesses say a white Camry that was travelling at high speed and dangerously hit a motorcycle and a trailer, causing serious injuries to the family of 5. The vehicle shortly after hit a billboard. But just before the driver legged it into the night, residents saw the man open the car door and take a jacket from the car. He then threw it into a flower bed. Residents went to look in the bushes and, to their utter amazement, they found a police jacket with the rank of Brigadier General 4th Class. And it had the name Tong Pek Un Ta Ostra. Sorry about that. The residents handed it over to the authorities for investigation. At the time of filming, the Takmau City Traffic Police have said that they have had experts measure the jacket and store it as evidence. But unfortunately, there has been no word at all as to any arrest being made regarding this incident. But if there's any updates on this story, I will be sure to let you know. This time, in our next story, it is a military officer that makes the headlines, and it read like this: "Military officer jailed for trafficking drugs." Just like our previous story, this was no cadet new to the uniform, but in fact, a high-ranking major named Hom Ra, and he was arrested for trafficking drugs by Battambang military police. The Battambang court on Saturday charged and imprisoned the senior military officer for trafficking excessive amounts of drugs in both Cambodia and in Thailand between 2023 and 2025. Now, as to why the report says excessive amounts of drugs leaves us all wondering as to how much dope was involved here. But don't you worry, I will get to that in just a moment. According to the arrest warrant of the court, the accused major has been charged with drug trafficking with aggravating circumstances. Crimes committed not only in Battambang, but also in Kampong Speu, Phnom Penh, as well as Thailand, suggesting that his network was rather extensive. Now is the time that we pull back the curtain on that expression, excessive amounts of drugs. What does that actually mean? Well, as we delve deeper into this story, we find that the Deputy Commander of Battambang Military Police said this week that 11 suspected drug traffickers have been arrested with 213 kilos of meth, heroin and ketamine, which is oddly the weight of a grand piano, just to give you an idea. Each drug runner now faces a term of 20 years to life. And the man at the head of the gang, the ex-major, is looking to spend the rest of his life in jail. I do have more death, murder and mayhem stories, but frankly, I've had enough. So let me do something positive to end this week, something that will help you live longer. And it starts with a very simple statement. You are going to die. And it will probably be painful. And there ain't a single thing that you can do about it. Now, the trick is to make the gap from right now to your inevitable death as long as possible, so you live a long life. But many people are not doing that. They are dying young. The headline read, 60% of current deaths are associated with non-communicable diseases, NCDs, says health officer. Now let's get to that NCD bit and get it into focus. Dr. Van Dien, Secretary of State of Health, said this. It includes diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, stroke, and mental illness. And please remember that a shocking 60% of all deaths have NCDs as a contributory factor. A vast sway of people are dying young when they do not have to. The doctor says cut down on sugar, on salt, and on fat, and that alone will help you live longer. But I have for you the secret ingredient that will reduce your risk of dying early. And it is this. It is called the outdoors. It's a big place and you can't fail to miss it, as is opposite to indoors. So if you ask yourself, am I indoors? And the answer is no, then congratulations, you have found outdoors. Now, most people just ignore this immense space. That's why they are being carted off to blazing ovens in wooden boxes to disappear into the flames forever. But if you give not doing indoors a go, the outdoors will weave its magic. But be warned, you need to engage with it. Walk around it, ramble over it, or do as I do, cycle all about it. Just by visiting outdoors, your life expectancy with a moderately altered diet will see you living a longer life. So think about it. Do you want to be in the 60% dying young, or do you want to go to the not indoors, get a lungful of fresh air, do some exercise, and actually be a human being, not a human doing? It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
Okay, and here we are at the weather to conclude the show. Right, I need to get it up, don't I? Right, if I fiddle with that. There we go. It's right up in front of me now. Okay, now then, just so you know, we won't be having a picture of the week to make the weather a bit more interesting. I've shot a bit of video at a carnival I saw in Thailand by the side of the road. And what I've done is I've dubbed over some really scary music. I don't know why. I like this kind of thing. It's super surreal. So, as I read the weather right now, it's all going to get weird. Great. So here we go with weird weather. What we have, let me have a look. We've got a humidity reaching into the mid-40s. We have a high, quite unbelievably, of 95 degrees. And there's even the threat of some smattering of rain. But of course, that will be localized. It'll only be in certain areas. So what we're looking at, lower on the humidity, but much, much higher with the temperature.
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.